And welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one of us knows what the word banter means. The other two are just along for the ride. Tyler, say what's up.
What's up? We got a fun one coming up.
Yeah, this is a good time. It's that time of year.
Yeah.
We are joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Dugan Darnell. What up, big dog?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for making this part of your routine. I think, I think we're at that level right now, aren't we?
Yeah. Yep. Every year before spring training.
Yeah, it's what we're doing. We'll let you do your thing and try to catch up a little bit during the season, but it's that time of the year and it's great. Like you're down in Arizona where we got kind of off topic before we started, so sorry to you all for the little late notice there. But you're down in Arizona doing a thing. How's it been going? What have you been doing? Like, how are you feeling? Like, you look good. You look real good. So
thank you. Yeah, feeling good. Feeling good. A lot of hard work this off season. Kind of wanted to attack training and just making sure I'm strong, mobile, ready to go. And then I got down here probably early mid-January. Just been working out with the guys, using the complex, the training staff. It's been productive and enjoyable.
Who else is down there with you?
There's quite a few people now. There's probably close to 40, 50 guys now. So there's a big crowd. But when I first got down here, it was probably 10, 15 guys, somewhere around there. So
okay.
Mostly older, maybe AAA big leagues. But a few younger guys trickling in here soon. So
okay. Yeah, we talked to Chris McMahon last week, and he's doing his final trips around Florida, back up to Pennsylvania before he makes his way out to Arizona.
Yeah.
And I saw Shunky Monkey made that long ass trip from Georgia to Arizona.
Yeah, that's right. I just saw him this morning. It was good to see him. Yeah.
That's good. So, I mean, let's start with it. We love here. So, congrats.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats on that engagement.
My biggest achievement yet. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the wedding.
Yeah. Do you guys have a date set for that?
It'll be late October, early November of 2025.
All right. So giving yourself some time to figure it all out. Okay.
A couple things to get done, a lot of planning, and So.
Yeah. Good luck with that. Godspeed.
Yeah.
It's a grind. Been there. Yeah, it was 8 years ago when we did all that, and it was stressful. You have to set up all the schedules. Like, you're also being an adult, trying to be an adult. She's being an adult. You have to be adults together, but also be adults for everybody else. It's a wild ride, man.
It is. Thank you for that. I'm gonna need the good luck. So.
Yeah, no, that's exciting though. Yeah, that's congrats on that.
Thank you.
Was she surprised at all?
She hates surprises, so I had to kind of let her know, but not let her know at the same time. So it was just enough where it's tasteful, but she hates surprises. So
I get that. I'm kind of married to that too, so I feel you a little bit on that. You're trying to be spontaneous and cute, but yet you can't be because it's gonna go back.
Not something you want to spring on.
No, no, not at all.
You make sure.
Yeah. You just get to say, hey, this is going to be a really important night. Not going to say anything else about it. We're going to have a nice time tonight.
Don't worry about it. Just get your nails done, and that's that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're down in Arizona. I'm assuming you're in this new lab that the Rockies have going on.
Mm-hmm.
You down there with that?
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with it, but I have used it once, and it's been very enjoyable. A lot of data that they'll give you, and that's pitch metrics. That's how your body is moving. Whatever have you, and then they'll get with us and work with us on, what they see and all that, and how to use the data and all that. So I'm looking forward to it. I feel very lucky to have, this type of thing at my disposal. So, and I know a lot of my teammates and peers are in the same boat. So we're really looking forward to it, and we're feeling lucky to have access to it.
Yeah, it's got to be valuable information, good data to go with and try to build off of it. And so, last year, you had a tale of two seasons. That Hartford to Albuquerque jump was which like it was pretty exciting to see you in Isotopes and down in Albuquerque. That was sweet. But the stories were a little bit different. So like the stats, like you were sub 2 ERA in Hartford, like strikeouts galore, and then the ERA in Albuquerque like around the 6-ish. But the PCL is a beast, and see going and diving into a little bit of that. But so like, what was some of that? Okay, so this is what this league is about. This is what the PCL is about. Moments you had last year to kind of, I don't know, get you kind of geared up for this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's different. And anytime you go to a different level, it's going to be an adjustment. So I was just basically just trying to keep calm and understand that it's going to be an adjustment, and just kind of ride with it. And I basically, after a few outings, especially in elevation, just kind of understood that it's a different approach. Instead of outstuffing people and maybe trying to just generalize things, you got to be a little bit more in tune with who you're facing. Be a little bit more in tune with the hitters' reactions in the box, how they react, how their swing looks to your stuff, and just kind of be able to pick up intel quicker, and then be able to really tunnel your pitches, because if you lose movement in elevation, you're really relying on commanding the zone, commanding location, commanding your stuff, and being able to layer pitches and create deception kind of mostly down in the zone. So right. That was a big adjustment for me. And I'm glad that it happened, and I'm glad that I was able to work through it, because now I feel prepared to throw an elevation and sea level and anywhere. So,
was that your first round of pitching at a competitive, just pitching at all at altitude, and especially like in organized competition? Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's insane. I know that, every little metric about your pitches might change, like, 10, 20%. You'll lose some of that vertical break on the fastball, which I know is something that I think probably in the lower minors and AA, I think that you get pretty good ride on your fastball at times, and that's not going to play nearly as well at altitude. So
right.
That's got to be just a big shocker, being like, hey, I can't throw that pitch the way that I was comfortable doing it, just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like you said, that's the biggest throw to my fastball, big weapon, and then just having to be able to sidestep that and be able to understand that, okay, maybe I'm not going to get that vertical break, but I still will get the effective velocity. So say 92 out of my hand, 93 out of my hand at sea level, maybe that's not, maybe when it crosses the plate, it's 85, 86. Well, in elevation, 92 out of the hand, that's going to be like 88, somewhere around there. So it'll get to the plate quicker, and you just got to be able to learn how to use that to your advantage.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard that idea, like out of the hand compared to when it crosses the plate. Like you just assume it's going 95 the whole time, but like that's going to make your pitch movement, the way you've created your pitch, definitely adjust a little bit. And that actually makes way more sense to me. Like pitches act different, but like how are they acting different? How are you creating that pitch to be different later and using that at different levels?
And you're not like going way away from your strengths to try to play to the strengths of elevation. It's just it's just being able to adjust a little bit, to basically layer your pitch, choose your tunnel and be strict with it, and kind of, if you can end the at bat in 4 pitches or less, you've done your job. And that's all you can do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's true. Because I remember talking last year with you. That was one of the big things you took from Australian ball to Hartford, is not just get out there and throw. Like I remember you saying you kind of caught yourself. You had a sequence that you're going into that at bat with, and that's what you were going to do, instead of adjusting to batters. And it looked like you did that at Hartford pretty well. Like those numbers kind of show that. So I'm assuming you also took that to Albuquerque, but you just kind of mentioned, I'm still trying to fix that. Like, is that different level from AA to AAA with these different batters, just that much different?
Well, no, I mean, absolutely AAA hitters are AAA hitters for a reason. So they're definitely better than the AA hitters. But I will say with automatic strike zone, top of the zone was not really an option. If you're going to go up there, it's for a swing and miss. So I guess just being able to, in Hartford, maybe I could use the whole zone and kind of just pump fastballs at the top and off speed down. Well, even if I missed by a little bit up top or down low, I might have gotten a chase. Well, they weren't chasing. They're very, very disciplined hitters in AAA, so they're not going to chase. Especially with the ABS, they're going to make you come to them, and they get immediate feedback from the scoreboard. So that's definitely an advantage, but there's advantages for us that we could use too as well. So
I won't ask you what those advantages are, but I didn't even think about the ABS too, because I was thinking of the pitch calm, like that was kind of cool. I was going to ask you about that, but
oh yeah, I love it.
Adjusting right, like having that quick thing, and
it's so great,
and that's pretty easy to adjust to and communicate with like whoever's behind the plate, whether it's Brian or Willie or whoever. Like that was pretty easy.
Super.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the crazy part about the ABS I never thought of, is that as a batter, you get to like really feel out the zone, knowing you're not just feeling the zone. You get to be like, oh, okay, that's about where I was thinking that pitch was. Or, okay, that was a little, more outside than I thought or inside. So I didn't even think about that. That's a crazy thing to have to kind of adjust for as well, mentally and physically, that those guys are going to be more locked in.
Right. And so it's just even more of a point to, be productive in your first pitch, but your first three pitches, especially. It's once I kind of settled in Albuquerque, that was kind of like my main thought of like, okay, how productive can I be on each pitch in the first three pitches? And more times than not, when you get 2 out of 3 executed pitches, you have an out. So that's basically just trying to keep my mindset small like that, and kind of just try to get better every day. Know that there will be adversity, but how can I use that to get better and help the team win at some point if it's not that day?
Yeah. So with, I guess, the ABS, going back to that, like, did you ever talk to like Carl or Noah? Just there's other guys that went from MLB to AAA. Like, did they talk about like having to adjust from ABS to no ABS? Like how the major league hitters, like they're already disciplined enough up there, but like you still have that different, you have to pitch to what you're around, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I've had a specific conversation with anybody regarding that, but I do know that some of the time they might get away with a call, here or there, but for as many calls as you get away, maybe you don't get a call you might have gotten with ABS. So there's a lot of give and take for sure. Yeah,
that's wild. Yeah, it's interesting to get a hands first experience with it. I guess, I mean, so this is kind of cool for us right now. So Ezequiel Tovar is in the IG Live feed here, and he says he is the best. So you just got a shout out by Ezequiel Tovar, dudes. And like that's gotta be cool to hear. Like that's sweet. Love that. Thank you for hanging out, Tovar. That's awesome.
Yeah,
so
he's a man.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll talk him up a little bit here, but it's like I kind of like this question. I might have asked you a while ago. Who are some of those dogs behind you that you just love to have like pick? Because like the Rockies are fantastic with infielders who can pick it. Like you go across the AAA roster. Like you got Shunky, you got Stovall who can do whatever.
Whole organization. You got dogs across the board, and it's something. I guess after winter ball, I mean, there was a lot of talent there for sure, but you really don't know what you have until you're somewhere else. And our infielders are pristine, and I think I took that for granted. And I went to winter ball and I came back, and it's just been a whole new appreciation for that. I mean, they're making incredible plays look routine. incredibly consistent, and they're professionals.
Who's one guy in the system that everyone's got something going on, but someone that you maybe don't think gets enough love with the glove? If you had to pick one guy.
Great question.
That is a great question. I'm not sure. I do know that out of the infielders, Stovall and Shunk, I mean, they've been incredible. I haven't played with Tovar for a while, but I know, I mean, his season speaks for itself. He's a professional. And then I think maybe Kyle Datras. I think he's a grinder as well, and I don't know if he gets enough attention. He's definitely impressive.
He was fun to watch in Hartford last year. He was I've been calling him that dude Datras for fun. He always had some kind of big moment. Whatever moment it was never too big for him. And
I know. I call him a grinder or a gamer. He's a gamer. He's just the ultimate, like, he's got the it factor, whatever it is that, helps a team win. He's there in the big moments. So
yeah, he's a dog. That Tar Heel blue, he bleeds that. Also, like, I think he might have been roaming the streets when they beat Duke.
Don't let him hear that.
I mean, right. Not a big fan of Tar Heel basketball either, but like, he is that dude. He's been fun to watch too. Yeah, that's good. All right, so like some fan questions. This
cool.
got a few.
Love it.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? Like, that was from Babsy on Twitter, and as soon as you meet Spilly, he's probably going to ask you that too. So just preparing you a little bit for that.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? No.
Yeah. No. Why?
Yeah,
hot dog's a hot dog. It's its own category.
Right. Okay.
If you had to, would you consider it a taco? Like, if you had to go sandwich or taco, would you go for the taco?
No.
It's not neither or. It's a neither.
It's neither. Yes.
It's his own entire entity. Absolutely.
I agree with that.
I do too. This was a good question. This is by Nate on Rocky's Twitter. What's kind of your off-season stuff that you've been working on? You kind of talked a little bit about what you've been working on, but what's the adjustment that you've been working on? Like that story you put up yesterday, you got some pop on that fastball.
Thank you.
That was sick.
Yeah.
That was fun. But
it's kind of, I've just been, I guess pitching wise, I've been kind of in between. Big project this offseason was adjusting my slider, get a little bit more depth on it. And then just basically deciding what I wanted to do with that slider. And that would be to help alleviate right-handed hitters, basically being able to attack right-handed hitters and being able to dominate both sides of the plate on any given day. So basically just working on the new shape of the slider and then adjusting a little bit of mechanical stuff, but not much. So it's been majority of the focus was training, physically, and family time, and then a couple pitching differences, but majority of the same stuff that I've been doing.
Yeah. That's good.
I know I'll be keeping a close eye on that because if that third pitch really shines through, I think that could open up a lot of different stuff, especially when you've got that splitter breaking arm side. Like having something that's breaking away from a righty could make that not fun for them at all.
So that's that was my main focus, and it's been feeling good, feeling nice. And I'm excited to kind of start facing some right-handed hitters and working on some sequencing and just being able to, again, like I said, dominate both sides of the plate on any given day.
Let's just go. Let's go run through a wall right now. Let's do it. Real Aaron Shunk in the live video here on the IG live. Oh, Doogie. I can sure. I'm sure you're like picturing his voice saying that to you real quick.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's my man.
Do you have a ball near you? Can you do a little no ball? Okay. I was going to have for a pitch grip vid or whatever, but
I Yeah, I can send you a video. I don't have a ball in my backyard.
All good. All good. You get comfortable. Yeah, you're fine. You stay comfortable. All right. And then you said you did some family stuff. Like, what was a good highlight of your off season? And then we'll send you on your way. But what fun stuff did you do this winter, I guess?
Yeah. So aside from getting engaged, I went to Nashville with my family. We had a nice little weekend there. Saw my cousins out in Kentucky, California. So, but mostly we just kind of laid low in Michigan. Enjoyed family time, had Christmas and the holidays at home, saw my relatives. Thanksgiving at my grandma's house, so I got to see my grandma and hang out with her. So it was a really good off season.
Love that. We've talked a little bit like offline, just in the chat and stuff, but Detroit food scene, it's up and up, and I'm imagining you got out there, which just being able to. What's your favorite go-to restaurant or cocktail spot or soda spot, so to speak, when you're in downtown Detroit? Oh, we frozen?
In Detroit?
Yeah, in
Sorry,
Detroit.
you're cutting in and out. I didn't hear anything.
Okay, so food scene, Detroit. I know you've dabbled. I've seen you out there a little bit. We've been to the same place a few times, but not at the same time. What's a good spot that you kind of found this off season? Because I know you were out there for a little bit.
Yeah. So a go-to spot for my fiance now. Can you hear me?
We lost you a little bit. You said go-to spot, then we lost you. Maybe this is a sign.
So our go-to spot is Townhouse. It's called Townhouse. It's downtown Detroit. Yes. We love that spot. The service is amazing. The servers are amazing. Yeah, we love it.
Yes, that place is awesome. It's been a hot minute since I've been there, but that place is fantastic.
Food is great. Drinks are great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a menu that my fiance has fallen in love with. Needs to be a regular spot for us.
That's awesome. I love that. Still staying with your roots and still finding ways to get out there and do your thing in Detroit and area. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That's great. Dukes, I appreciate you hanging out with us. Go grind. You know we got you. And let's go shake the room, big dog.
Let's go shake the room. Let's do it, man.
All right. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Best of luck this spring.
Thank you. Nice meeting you, Tyler.
Yeah, you too, Dugan.
Cool. See you guys.
Later. Dugs, man. Love that guy.
Yeah, lived up to the hype for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's been a favorite, and I hadn't gotten the privilege and pleasure yet, but lived up to the hype for sure.
Yeah. And dude, we got some fam in the IG live chat here.
Dude, yeah, that was a big shocker, and then just cool seeing some Shunky interaction too.
Yeah, Hunter Stovall stopped by. I missed it before I could get Duke. So Duke Splitter is nasty, dog. Duke. So shout out to Hunty, Shunky, Tovar. That was insane. So this is fun, man. Let's go. Baseball season is right around the corner. We got people heading down to Arizona. We're in the lab. We're doing cool stuff. So like, it's here. I got the itch. I can only imagine what they're feeling.
Yeah, we're in our own lab, but like there's just like so much going on like on that front.
Yeah,
it's totally. I'm getting that every year we've been doing. I guess I don't know if this is I think this is the third year I've been doing pods going into spring training. When you get that real childish feeling as you enter spring training, opening days, like a month and a half away, a little more than that. Just it's exciting. It's good to eat. My gosh.
Yeah, it's ramping up. Yeah. All right, we'll move on. Like, I'm just excited. It's like it's live, man. Like it's here.
We're bringing the levels
right. Like,
back to reality.
We got pods going. We're doing banter sessions. We got some writing happening. We got some big stuff happening on our end, and I can only imagine like what they're feeling down there. So it's sweet. And what's really gonna hit is when they're all at the waste management next weekend, or is it this weekend? That's usually this weekend. Yeah, that's the sign. Like spring training's here. And they're all going to be together, hanging out.
Kyle Freeland is a lock for the Waste Management Open.
Yeah.
If there's one guy I had to bet on, like if there was a Vegas line, he would be like -1,000.
Like, yeah.
I'm ready to lose my money if he's not there, but that seems like a lock.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's around the corner, and it's absolutely awesome. So that's great. We have some news to talk about, so let's get into the actual pod. Like, I don't know how we follow up Duke's banter session there, but let's talk prospect profile. Brought to you by Daily Controls, our one and only ad. And just love this guy. He actually got me something, Tyler. It's been a hot minute. He finally got me something to read, and so I'm going to read it. Daily Controls LLC is an industrial automation controls engineering company that is excited to provide and apply its 13 years of experience in the industrial automation and robotics industry. Data control services include PLC programming, HMI design, and stop me if you actually know what any of this means. Vision inspection systems, robotics integration and programming, control panel design and fabrication, system integration. That sounds fancy. And Dude Man even troubleshoots and supports. Data Controls is dedicated to reducing that downtime, improving quality, and increasing output. If you push buttons and aren't blinking or your robots aren't cooperating, trust Daily Controls to get your equipment running smoothly. Go ahead and check out more information at dailycontrolsllc.com or email info@dailycontrolsllc.com. So huge shout out to Daily Controls. Thank you for that. And I'm going to prospect profile Ronnie Ugarte. Not somebody I was really familiar with. I kind of had a system. Oh, come on. Of how to pick this. And so this guy spent a few years in the DSL, was rakes. He's a pretty big human, which is for like an 18-year-old. Big first baseman down there, 164 at bats, those 33 RBIs, 897 OPS. Guy imagines he's in the ACL or Fresno coming up. He was on your prospect board. I don't know if you can add anything to it. He was number 99 on your list, on your top 170. Ronnie Ugarte, shout out.
Yeah, and I'll give him some extra credit just because I've been a major slacker on the list. If you're not in like the top 50, I've just not been making the big adjustments. He's someone who should be a few spots. A few is a very relative term. He should be at least a few spots higher. Mm-hmm. Numbers are very solid in the DSL, and as you said, he just turned 19 like a month and a half ago, and he's 6'3", 205 pounds.
Just giant.
Dude brings some heat out there. He's raking. I like this to see, the high walk rate for a kid already. So really hoping he can get some time in Fresno. We know for sure ACL at least, but maybe he's going to get a little bit of time at Fresno. They need some thump. They're always in need of thump there. The Rockies don't draft a ton of hitters, so a lot of that hitting talent has to come from the DSL and all the international signings. So hopefully we see Ronnie Ugarte hanging out in Fresno pretty soon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what that squad looks like coming up, because like a few years we saw Yank and Juan come up together, and last year we saw Dion and Andy Perez starting there. So there's a lot of that Latin America talent, international talents coming through Fresno to start. So keep an eye on down there on our boys, the Fresno Grizzlies. So I don't know. What do you want to start with first? Maybe we just start with this question. Josie, over under on the Rockies wins this year. So there's a lot of Discord, a little banter online. Capta came out. Pacoda came out with their predictions, 58 wins. I think Fangraphs has us at 61, 62.
I think we saw it the other day. I forget already.
Maybe it was 50.
Has to be low 60s, if not high 50s.
Right.
I mean, really, the range I've seen, I think, is like 57 to 61 or 2.
Yeah. The A's are projected to have more wins than the Rockies in both some. So,
which I don't know. I don't know about that one.
Right. And it's so weird, right? Like, it's weird to think about that because we're so hyped about this team. Just since there is so much talent around, obviously it needs to grow and be a little bit better, right? Like, you have exciting outfield, like 2/3 of the outfield is pretty solid. What can Doyle bring with the bat? You got left side with Rymack and Tovar, solid dudes, right? B-Rod up the middle. First base with KB, but who fills in? Tolio, Montero, like, you have talent there. Pitching, right? We've talked a little bit about that. So, and then the catching, it's coming up. Like, we're excited. We're in a good place, right? But over under, put the number. You set the number. I'm usually the guy that sets the number. You set the number. Like realistic Rockies fans biased. What do you put the number on?
I mean, I guess we could kind of do. Yeah, no, we'll let's say kind of in the middle. I gave the range of 57 to like 61, so 59. We'll go 59 and a half.
59
so we think they're gonna hit 60 or more. And I think that's a nice whole number to be working with. I mean, I think yes, because these lines, the way they're set, obviously last year is going to set the win projections in the toilet, but something has to change at some point. The Rockies are not going to be a sub 60 win team forever. I mean, this was I think the first time ever that they won less than 60 games. It had to have been. This was their first 100 loss season. So first time they'd ever lost more than 100. And it's hard to imagine they're repeating that. And the only way things change is for things to change. And I don't think you can project that so easily. That's not what projections are about. Projections are trying to say, here's what's likely, and change is not always likely. That you think about guys like Doyle, him having a better season, Brendan Rodgers having kind of that breakout season. There's so many different things that could happen. There's plenty of things that could go wrong, but we sort of saw that last year. Did we not?
Yeah, just everything that could did.
It was like arguably the two best, most consistent starters basically didn't pitch at all last season. At some point, every guy in the original starting five was on the injured list. Chris Bryant, like so many things went wrong. You know, I'm going to take the over for sure, the over on 59 and a half. I personally would want to set it at like 63 or 64. That's
kind of what I was thinking. Yeah.
I think we're going to see low mid 60s, chance for high 60s, you know, if someone really breaks out. And that's the only, something has to happen at some point. It's just the way that baseball's always worked.
Right. And you got to imagine everybody gets a little bit better the next time around. Like we hear about sophomore slumps, but there's so many adjustments that go into it. So you got to expect Brenton Doyle's going to produce a little bit more at the bat with the adjustments and all that kind of stuff. Got to expect Tolia made those adjustments at winter ball and has fixed that part of it. And he's going to come in hot. Like, and then the pitching it can only go up. Like there can only be right. Like, well, there's that Noah and Carl have an entire season under the belt, and I kind of know what the big leagues is about. So you got to hope that's there. Ryan Feltner coming back. There's just so many of those. Oh crap, that happened last year that can only go up coming here. So I would agree with your 64 and a half. I would think we're mid 60s. I don't know about Brian's 73. I think everything would have to hit. Like we'd have to have like 2 or 3 big breakouts from somebody. Like we need Nolan Jones last year, the same. Rymack doing what he does. Tovar adds a little bit more thump with his bat, even though he was fantastic with the doubles. A healthy B-Rod, 160 games of B-Rod. I don't know, maybe, but 70 seems high. But
I mean, I will say that the way this team's set up, like again, everything went wrong last year. The rotation was just super inconsistent, and that hurt the bullpen. The lineup, you lost a few guys, and then you're left with more holes. And with the second you add a big bat into that lineup, it makes things a little bit easier for everyone. So, like adding in theory a couple wins to the lineup might actually yield more impact than that.
Right.
And you know, we've seen some. I don't want to say hate. I don't think hate's the right word on the Rockies rotation going into this year. You would hope with health being a little bit more in order. Maybe there's always going to be pitching injuries, right. But also the addition of Cal Quantrill, Dakota Hudson. I mean, those are two pretty significant adds. And I mean, for other teams, especially Hudson is not finding his way into another rotation so easily, but Cal Quantrill is like going to be a 4th or 5th starter in pretty much any rotation. The Rockies added him, and it just seems like that has not been considered. I would
that's weird.
Bet a lot of money in our betting theme. Kyle Freeland's going to be at the Waste Management, and I think that the Rockies rotation is not going to be that close to being the worst in baseball. They weren't last year, I don't think. I don't think by a lot of. I mean, if you look at ERA, of course, they're always going to be at or near the bottom. But if you look at things like WAR, certain metrics that adjust for the park, the Rockies, I don't think the rotation is going to be last in the league, and that's something that people are kind of talking about as a foregone conclusion. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that. And Dakota and Cal definitely bring that extra depth to it, where you have the question marks behind it, and we've talked about that on a few other pods there. So hammer the over, whatever betting responsible app thing you use, bet responsibly, and hammer the over. So it just seems a foregone conclusion, and we'll see if we're eating crow or cashing in. We'll see what happens at the end of the season. So I mean, along those lines, Rockies made a move. I don't think it gets you from 62 to 63 wins, but it's a move. It's an interesting one, but not. So let's dive into this a little bit. Rockies yesterday signed Bradley Zimmer to a minor league contract with an invitation to spring training. So we're now at 67 cats coming into big league camp. It's pretty obvious what this move is. The Rockies were looking for left-handed outfielder bat, preferably one that could play center field. That has been drilled into us since midwinter, the winter meetings. We knew this was coming. There's 3-4 needs they needed. They've addressed all of them except for that one. We got that guy. Wasn't anybody that you listed on your article that you can find on
Yeah, he slipped my mind totally. It was crazy to see that. I know Skylar Timmons, Purple Row. He pointed it out. That was pretty cool to see.
So I don't know. The question I want to ask you, and then you can dive into your thing, is does he make the big league squad? Is he on the 26-man opening day? And what kind of impact does he kind of bring to the boys in purple?
So I'm thinking, I know we had a discussion in our group chat about this. I mean, I think the odds of him making the 26 at any point, I really don't think they're that high. If you see what he did in AAA last season, his strikeout rate was very close to 40%, and that was in like 80 games, pretty much. Like half a season, struck out almost 40% of the time. He hit just over 200 in, about half those games were in the PCL, and he hit 219 in the PCL, 31 games with the Dodgers AAA team. He's not the same athlete as he once was. He is just recently 31. He's no longer that young kid who can just burn it out there in the outfield. I think there's still that workable skill set that he can go play center field still. There is still pretty big power there. He's always had that. And I just want to throw this in there. If you told me in like 2016 that Bradley Zimmer would be a Rocky in 2023, I would think that'd be a really good thing.
That'd be so cool.
He was a kid when he was coming up. It was like, this guy is going to be, even if he doesn't like hit at a super high level, he's going to hit enough, and he's going to hit for power, and he's going to be a crazy dude out in center field. So there's still some of that glimmer on him, and I'm just hoping the Rockies can find a way to be like, hey, dude, like put the ball in play a little bit more. You have that power. Like sometimes you're going to be able to kind of sit back a little bit more, but if there can be a couple key adjustments, and obviously I haven't watched him enough to know what that's going to be, then I think he could make the roster. I don't think it's opening day though. I just have a hard time seeing that as a guy who again struck out almost 40% of the time in AAA. Just to put him on the opening day roster would be a big jump. You have Doyle and you have Jones who can play center field, and once a week, a little bit less than that when Doyle needs to take a seat. And I think I mentioned Jimmy. You have Jimmy Herron, and he's someone that deserves a shot too. I think that you got to view Zimmer and Herron in somewhat similar territories.
Yeah, the only thing is Herron's not left-handed, and I don't know. Like the Rockies wanted that left-handed bat, and I think that's why I'm disagreeing with you where he does make the opening day roster. How I asked the question, I think that's why I agree with everything you said. To be fair, he hit 207, but his OBP was 321. That walk rate was still 11% last year in the PCL, but does that have anything to do with the ABS system? How does he adjust with that? Like going back to the Dukes conversation, that might be part of it. Dude still stole 20 bases and 305 plate appearances. So there's still that speed, and he did it at a 76% clip. So he does bring that to the table. He's Brenton Doyle B version. Like he can man the outfield. He can hit left-handed. He has MLB experience. I think this just checks all the boxes that Buddy and squad like, which makes me think he is the 26th man coming in. I do think his leash is really short, though. I don't think it's a Castro long leash. I don't think it's a Profar long leash. I think it's, all right, you have about a month to do what you're here for, and it's to be a seventh inning on replacement steal some bases, go play defense, and just kind of fill in like once every 10 days for Brenton. If he does that, okay, I think he's sticking around. But I think it's a foregone conclusion. I think he's the 26th man.
I wouldn't hate it nearly as much as he saw. Like we were in the Castro corner last year for sure, but seeing him stick around for as long as he did was
right. It was fun at the beginning. Yeah,
we wanted to see Hitting Harold do his thing. But Zimmer, I think I will say I was trying to take that stance of like being as reasonable as I can, taking all my hopes out of the equation. I honestly wouldn't mind if he's on the 26 man because he's a talented dude.
Yeah,
it just has come down to those strikeouts a lot. That has mitigated the success he's been able to have. But he checks every other box: fast, power, center field, defender. Like, yeah, the hitting is leaving a lot to be desired, but there are workable tools there. He had a bit of time off last season. I don't think that was due to injury. I just think he was kind of bouncing around a little bit. Mm-hmm. So maybe some freshness in the legs that could lead to something a little bit more, explosive than we're expecting.
Right. And there's no such thing as a bad minor league signing. So we'll see how
the most important thing to say.
And he's not like confirmed MLB spot. It's not a Jerkson Profar type thing. So there is that going with it. And if Pacheco can work his magic, which he seemed to do with a few guys last year, maybe he can do something with Zimmer and Bam Bam doing his thing with some of the kids at the end of the last season. There seems to be some kind of adjustments being made and some kind of hope with that hitting part of everybody's game. So not a bad signing. It'd just be interesting to see if we're saying that in June, July, if he's getting the Castro treatment. That's kind of where we come. Like, be productive with what you're here for, I think is kind of my expectation. Like, I don't need you to be a league average player. I need you to be a league average bench roll and kind of let the kids play still type thing. So yeah, it's just good thing. Another thing we're trying to build that community, that joining us, like the live conversation. So if you're in the chat and you got something, ask away. But the Spotify is now allowing us to ask questions on the app, and you guys get to answer it. So a huge shout out to 3 people, most that we've ever had. Let's go. Moving on up. The question last week with me and Patrick was, who gets the Colt Keith extension? Again, I think me and Patrick talked about who gets the Jackson Churio thing. Nobody got that. But Colt Keith seemed a little bit more manageable. So here's some of those responses. So Andrew Globenlick, sorry, dog. Nolan Jones, 7 years, $80 million. Who says no? I mean, I think I like that. I think that's a steal. Doesn't meet the question because Colt hasn't touched major league action yet, but we'll come back to that. Kevin Green, who I agree with, Zach Veen, and then Skyfish. I'm assuming that, again, this is Skyler, friend, OG, Twitter friend. Here we go. Should be Amador or no one. He's the closest sure thing that we have. What do you didn't get a chance? You had the Colt Keith contract. Didn't get asked you that last time, but what do you think about Amador or Veen kind of getting that Colt Keith treatment there?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense for an Amador. Like, we'll have a little bit of a segment on Amador here coming up, but
yeah, we're going.
He's a really good player, and there's not a lot of risk with him, which I think with the Tigers, they're like, Colt Keith has no risk anymore, and I don't think that's necessarily true. Of course, guys can struggle with that transition, but it brings a lot of present ability that's going to translate at the big league level. They didn't even give him like that much money. It was crazy because he hasn't played in Major League Baseball yet. We still haven't seen a lot of those contracts, and I don't think it was $100 million, was it? I'm trying to remember.
Colt Keith got 30 over 5 with the potential to get 80 over 9.
Okay. So I think that's sort of why the Nolan Jones comment there kind of fits a little bit. It's sort of in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't give him a ton of money. And I think for a guy like Amador, like, if you can buy a couple free agent years or something there, like, why not?
Yeah.
But I guess in the Rockies case, they have had some not great payroll decisions. You think about Ian Desmond currently dealing with a bit of a strap payroll. They might not be so eager to ink a guy like that. And we know they have other guys they should be extending already. Nolan Jones, so he doesn't quite meet the criteria of this this combo. And then Ezekiel Tovar should be extended 100%. So I think it's tough to think any true prospect is going to get that extension when you've got two young MLB guys that would be awesome pre-ARB extension guys.
Yeah, you got to think Tovar and his team is talking to Rockies front office about something in these next few weeks. Like Patrick was saying, there might be a deal coming out, and that was just his speculation, no inside information there. But you got to imagine he's next, and then Nolan Jones is right after that. But are the Rockies going to be scared to do that after some of the other past incidences? Not to name names, but there might be some kind of toe tapping the water there where it might be a little nerve wracking. So it's just a fun conversation, fun banter. So continue to look at the Spotify questions that we put up, interact with us. It's just a fun way for us to talk without talking. And again, if you're on our Twitter, holler at your boys. We're always here for the banter session. Follow us on Instagram and all that. All right, shameless plug over. I think I'm looking at the rundown. I think it's time. Yeah, we got 2 more segments we got to do. Let's get feisty, dog.
Let's get the skewers out.
So
put some hot dogs, marshmallows on them. We're cooking.
We got some bones to pick with one man in particular. Second man, kind of, but
no, second man's okay.
Yeah,
he can slide.
All right, prospect ranking. So I think it's pretty much done. I think we got all the big outlets got their stuff out, and just real quick, MLB.com's got three Rockies in: Yankiel 72, Dollander at 52, and Amador at 28. Baseball America has their guys: Yankiel at 92, Beck at 81, Dollander at 61, and Amador at 36. ESPN, it's just one guy, I forget his name, but
Kylie McDaniel,
Dollander 93, Amador 33, and then Keith Law of The Athletic, Yankiel 82, Dollander 75, Sterling Thompson at 70,
and nobody else.
Nobody else. And of course, we bantered. We quote tweeted it, and I'm still sticking by this. I don't believe his breakdown, but he's gonna be, if he doesn't listen, he's not gonna listen.
He'll name search himself and he'll look at all the quotes and stuff, but this would be crazy.
We'll see if Mike cuts this or not. Mike, don't cut this. We don't need to do that.
Please.
We're just gonna hold the receipts. But he doesn't have Adel Amador, and for his reasons was he talked to scouts, and they're not as high on him as other players in the system. And I know you got some things loaded up. My take on this, and hopefully I don't steal your thunder, is how does the scouts that you talk to take him out of your 100, but all the scouts, the other prospect ranking guys talk to and see and engage, the MLB.com guys they're all up in it all the time. And I know that because they're on the pods, they're writing all the time, they're doing their thing. Yeah, they're not being talked out of Amador in the top 30. And even McDaniel's guy, who had just a few players on there, right? Amador and Dollander, he even said in his write-up that there's a pretty big drop-off from 40, 50, the top 40 or 50 are all pretty close, and there's a pretty big drop-off of the bottom 50. So he even has Amador as a top dog in the whole minor league system. But yet people that Keith are talking to, which whatever, are talking him out of it. That blows my mind. I don't get it. I think it's an attention grab. I don't agree with it. I don't like his opinion on it, and he might be mad at me for having an opinion on his opinion. I just don't see a world where the people you talk to, the same people everybody else is talking to, talk you out of it. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, and something just to throw a little bit more fuel in the fire there. MLB Pipeline, they polled a bunch of executives in the offseason. That all their articles on that dropped pretty recently. They did a prospect polling. Who was the most underrated prospect? And Amador wasn't in the top vote getters, but Amador received votes. And I just want to think that in this process, the guys are not voting for their own players. I just think that's probably a taboo. You're being asked, who do you think is the most underrated prospect in baseball? Yep. You're probably supposed to give opinions on guys outside your organization. Maybe that's not true, but I'm guessing that is the way that they conduct that. Ariel Amador is receiving votes for most underrated prospect in baseball. And he's a guy who at the end of the offseason was already like a top 30 prospect. So, I mean, and I also want to throw this into the equation. Fangraphs, they're not the, pristine source of scouting information because they have one guy mostly doing their scouting stuff. In 2023, at the beginning, I think this was about a year ago now, he was ranked 8th in the entire league prospect-wise. So we have yet another source that is like, this is a really, really good player. And a bit of Keith's kind of reasoning was he doesn't think that there's that much power there, and he's not a power guy, but he also had 10 home runs in 64 games last season. That's like a 25 homer pace.
Injured home runs.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. The hand thing, he still hit one in AA. I don't think he's a 25 homer guy at the big leagues, but Keith Law is saying he's like a 10 to 12 homer guy.
No.
When Amador was 19, he hit 15 home runs in low A, and that was in 115 games. So, yeah, I don't know where to go with that, but it seems like a bit of an overreaction to him getting injured, coming back, not having a great 10 games in AA, and that seems to have really shot his stock down in the eyes of some, or one.
Let's say one. Let's call it what it is. Yeah, I don't get it. And he even said in his write-up, like, he's adding mass, he's building up his body, he's still young and can grow. Like, he even wrote that in his blurb about why he's not a power guy and how that's concerning. I don't get it, and it seems like an attention grab. It's like a click thing. To be fair, I didn't look at the rest of the list. I don't know the other prospects that didn't get called out. Maybe you know a little bit more because you're a little bit more in tune with that. I'm pretty tunnel vision on that stuff. So I don't know who was left off. I don't know who were some of the big dogs, other people that he dogged. I'm not quite sure, like, if this was just a thing. Was it just us? Like, is he just picking on me right now? Like, is he like specifically saying you, Aaron, are wrong? I don't get it.
I mean, there was that second list that he dropped of, like, it was like 10 guys who were close to making his list, and we saw Amador on there. Some of the other ones, the one that really jumped out to me was Mick Abel with the Phillies, and I don't know where he's ended up on some other lists, but he's a guy that I'm like, you can't really justify him not being a top 100 prospect. Like, he's insane. He's one of the best pitching prospects in baseball. Spencer Jones, the second coming of Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
He's not in Keith's top 100. A guy who is literally, 6'6", and he stole how many bases? 43 bases this year at 6'6". And then the final guy that really stood out to me was Carson Wisenhunt with the Giants. Another one he didn't put in his top 100. Where I'm like, dude, it's
Carson
cool to
Wisenhunt
have your own
in his top 100.
Carson Wisenhunt, who
seriously
was one of the best pitching prospects in all of baseball this season. He's a lefty with a pretty good fastball and like an elite changeup.
Yeah,
He had a 1.42 ERA in high A last season. Went to AA, 3.2 ERA in his first year as a pro. So I think that was one where it's like his opinions are cutting against the grain for sure. I will respect his opinion enough and leave it at that. But it doesn't quite click. And it's all. I love Sterling Thompson. I was like, oh yeah, Sterling Thompson in the top 100.
That was really cool, right?
At what cost though? Like, I'm like, how is Sterling Thompson a top 100 prospect? A guy who has not hit for power in the pros, who by some accounts is like a DH. He is like considered a DH by some scouts and prospect analysts, and he's at 70. While Amador is off in the honorable mention.
Yeah, that brought up another thing for me. It's another thing for me to get off my chest. I loved Sterling Thompson. Like, I do think he is that guy, but everything he is, Amador is just a little bit better.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, he's a more well-rounded player. He has a home in the middle infield. You can slot Amador right now at second base if you wanted to. Like, he would be fine. Not really quite sure where you put in Sterling Thompson. The pop, like, Sterling Thompson is a 15 max home run guy, but the fact that he's ahead, he's the same type of player as Amador, but yet he's ahead of Amador. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. So, like, yeah, like what Brian said, it's equivalent to guys dropping Helton on their Hall of Fame ballot. It's just so hard to believe. It's still mind blowing. And like, I used to love reading Keith's stuff. Like, I would go out of my way to find Keith's laws articles everywhere.
Yeah, I have a book that he wrote. That's
like,
not in my possession right now, but
now I'm just mad at him. And thank you for responding to me, Keith. I guess Blake Bander, like that was cool, but
without being tagged at no less, without being tagged.
Yeah, he found us and whatever, and it was good stuff. Yeah, a lot of these guys need to be better at looking at prospects. So stupid, and that's his job. So I got to imagine he does have a reason. He does have a system for it, and imagine being one guy that's rating all of the prospects all on your own. Like, huge shout out to the ESPN guy that does it. Like, you're going to miss people. Like, I'm not discounting that.
And that's where you're talking to a lot of people is a huge part of their job. The MLB guys, they've grown to become my favorites just because they're like so funny when you watch their like draft broadcasts and
they
stuff.
Have fun with it.
But like they are literally on the draft broadcast. They're reading texts off their phones about what scouting directors are saying to them. Like, they are making their own opinions, but they're also being fed like all the information and they're just processing it. Like, that at the end of the day is what happens. So it's hard to kind of understand what happened there. That he tried to justify it by saying that exact thing. Like, well, I talked to all these guys, but Kylie McDaniel included the last tidbit on this. He included in the ESPN list saying and talking to scouts, there is a consensus from everyone I spoke with across the industry that there's a notable and uncharacteristic drop off in the area of the list around 40 to 50, which is why his future value break, it's in that range. It goes from 55 to 50 in that range. And he had Amador at 33. So if he's talking to a lot of industry sources, Amador is still in that upper echelon before this uncharacteristic drop off. So someone is talking to one guy or not, or just like, I don't know. It's not our place to speculate too much, but
something's not adding up. Something's off there. Exactly. Whatever. So that is our rant. And if you come at our guys, we're coming at you. Like, it's not okay.
You got to be rational, buddy. You can make some rational takes. There's stuff we're gonna take. Like, there's been some the Drew Romo, the Zach Veen stuff about having them non-existent on top 100s, even though I still think those are two of the like 6 best prospects in the system. I don't think a lot of people are agreeing with that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Rational. It's rational. There's a sound argument to make. I don't buy it, but there is a sound argument to make. That one, Adel Amador, not a top 100 prospect. I think that goes beyond. Let me have my own opinion. I think it goes far beyond that.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll end it there. And if we feel a certain way in a few weeks, we'll come back to it. It's just something. So, I mean, the Rockies are getting love. They're one of few. Their top 10, like only 10 teams or so have like 4 or more players in the top 100, like across the board. So they have a good system going. Like the top 15 of the Rockies system would be just head to head with almost any other team. So it's good stuff. Just weird stuff at the same time. All right, let's end it. Let's end it with this. We are trying to highlight each position group as we are getting closer to spring training. A few weeks ago, so me and Tyler are doing the road to Blake Street, so to speak, every 2 weeks right now. And so 2 weeks ago, we talked about starting pitchers. We gave our 5 or 6 deep players, honorable mentions. We could have kept going. So if you need that, go back to it. It's I think it's also clipped just itself on YouTube. So I think I did do that. So if you just want to skip all the other banter, go to YouTube there. But we are going to cover the what is
corner
it?
Infield.
The corner infield, first base, third base, all that stuff, going through all that. So let's start with that. Like we were just kind of talking about it. We're not including anybody that has been in the majors. So it doesn't not include Hunter, doesn't include Tolia, Ryan McMahon, obviously not involved. So keep that in mind as we're talking about the prospect corner infield, first base, third base, prospects, and all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, let's give our top 5 in the system going forward. I'm going to start with Sterling Thompson. I've been on it again. If you're new here, go back and listen again. It's a big thing. He's got the major league ready bat. He can stick in a lineup. You want him to hit first, he can do that tomorrow. He can hit ninth if you need him to. It's just the big question mark, where does he play? I think he's slotted at third base for most of the 2023 season. I had a crazy week. I wasn't able to do all my research, but I think third base is his home going forward. Second base is next. He could slot him into a middle infield if you need to, right? It's just Sterling Thompson, I think, is a corner infield in the future, and you're going to find a place for him to play there.
Yeah, he played 479 innings at third base. Actually, no, a bit more than that. 499 innings at third base, and did not play over, I think, 114 anywhere else in the season, roughly in that range. So third base was kind of his spot this year, but he played 25 games. Or no, I'm trying to combine seasons on the spot.
It's hard.
He played 14 games at second base this past season, and then in the outfield spent close to 30 games in the outfield. So third base was his spot. It's kind of funny to think about him as a corner infielder, because he's someone that now has this reputation as a utility guy. But I think for the purposes of this, he's absolutely a corner guy. I would love to see him play second base. That'd be really cool if he can stick there a little bit and just give you depth and be that left-handed bat the Rockies don't really have, to play in the infield. So he's my number one also. And so I won't drop a ton more on that. I think there is some power that could come with his swing, which is really cool. He's just a line drive hitter, but the raw power itself is there. When he was drafted, it was some of the higher exit velocities in the draft class. Like, he was, I think, top 5 or so of like that first round plus. Like, he was technically a first round pick as a comp round guy. He was, I think, top 5 in average exit velocity for first round college guys. So it was like, this dude can hit the ball hard. If he can start elevating a little bit more, maybe you're looking at 20-25 home runs. And we know that the bat is there. He started walking a little bit more this year, and the averages were pretty high, raked in the fall league. So definite number one. I'll drop my number 2.
He did have 14 home runs last year. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, he had a run in Double-A where, like, he started off and just hit a few, which is cool. But trying to blaze through this so we don't keep everyone here I don't think everyone's going to be gone soon anyway.
Right. It's bedtime.
This is where this is such a tough position group once you take out Hunter Goodman, who I originally had slotted, and then it was like, wait, yeah, we're not doing any big league experience guys. I got Warming Bernabel still as my number 2. I think that there's a unique upside there with him. He has really quick hands. I think he's going to grow into average power, 15 home runs, 20 home runs. And he's pretty athletic. I think he could play, a little bit of second base too if you need, but he's probably more of a third baseman going forward. But again, I think there's kind of a unique upside there when you're looking at the rest of the prospects that play third or first in the system. So he's sticking at number 2 for now.
And he's had a little bit of a drop off last year, being injured, and wasn't able to really find his groove and doing his thing at Double-A that we kind of expected, because he kind of blew doors down a few years ago when he got added to the 40-man. Like, it was kind of all right, that's a guy that they believe in a lot, and it kind of came out of nowhere. So hoping that 23 is healthy or 24 is healthy and he comes in and does his thing. There's still a lot of upside. Defense is still a little bit of a work, but he did make some solid plays last year that were kind of like jaw-dropping. So he does have that talent, just making it consistent going forward. He's number 4 on my list. My number 2, friend of the pod, Aaron Schunk. He's a dog, and his defense has gotten so much better. Whatever happened in that 2021 season, we're up in, 2021 season up in Spokane. I think that was definitely an outlier. That's not who he is as a player. I think whatever was going on, he's past that, because he's dominated in Hartford in 22 and AAA last year. Like, if Ryan McMahon would have got down, knock on wood, God forbid, Schunk was next up. Like, he was doing everything he needed to. The defense that he was able to do, like catching balls against the net and making crazy 98-mile-per-hour throws across the diamond, like on a freaking line. It was insane. And doing his thing with the bat too. So Aaron Schunk is my number 3. little biased, but not really, because he has proven himself to be that dog. And like, yeah, Lewis, I like this would be a perfect time to show a highlight of Shunk, but we can't do that because you ain't here, dog. Come on. So
get out here, Mike.
Yeah, what are we doing? You said you were off, but yet here you are in the chat. I mean, make up your mind. But Aaron Shunk, my number two. Yeah, my number two.
And I got Shunk as my 4. He's a guy he finds the barrel often, and we have the term barrel to describe balls that are hit hard and at like the home run launch angle. But like
balls that are hit hard,
the bats have a barrel, and finding the barrel of the bat is a good way to talk about hitting. Also, he finds a way to just make a lot of solid contact. He's not going to bust the doors down hitting 25 home runs. I think he has the pure strength to maybe do that, but it's just not his game. So I'm a fan of his. He's been a roller coaster ride to follow, where 2nd round pick, really good debut. He finally found himself again in the last like year and a half, and that was awesome to see. And another guy who's kind of been a roller coaster ride, my number 3 on my list, Grant Levine, who is someone we are fond of as a dude. At some points in his minor league career, it's been like, okay, this guy might be like a super high on base threat, hit for some power, but it has been a real roller coaster ride with Levine as well. Hoping that the season primes him to put things together. The raw power is insane. Like, he is a big human. He has a great eye, plate discipline. It's there. Contact rates are not bad for a first baseman. That's got that power. But he has not hit. It's kind of like the Sterling Thompson. He's not hitting home runs. He's hitting a lot of line drives, some hard contact on the ground. Would love to see Grant Levine straighten some things out and really get on that course to be a first baseman for the Colorado Rockies, like be in that mix to get first base plate appearances.
100% agree. His walk percentage was 14% last year. I think I said that right. Yep, 14% at AA. So it's there. His slugging was 400. Like, he had his knack for the zone is insane, and it's just, I'm hoping this is the year that it just translates. All right, now we're gonna hit for power, because he's still 17 home runs, 19 doubles, only 50, 60 RBIs. So the production that you expect from a big Grant Levine just isn't there yet. But look at Hartford's lineup; it was terrible across the board. So there's not a lot of production that was happening in Hartford last year, which is a whole nother story. Just injuries, like it was just injured, and then there's the jump from high A to AA that hurts it a little bit, and you just aren't quite sure where that stuff is coming from. So like even Hunter Goodman and Drew Romo struggled for a month at a time there. So there is a little bit of that going into Grant Levine. He's number 3 on my list. I think I mentioned that. It's got to happen, and I think this next year it's got to happen now. So hopefully he's starting at AAA. Not quite sure what the first base situation is, so like that might put him in minor league AA purgatory, where he's back in Hartford, because major league and AAA are full of, we don't know what to do with guys, and we talked about that a little bit already. So hopefully he's figuring it out. This is that year. We already talked about my number 4, Bernabel. I'm going kind of out there, maybe not. Kyle Karros, drafted last year. He actually got to play a little bit, I believe. He started in California League, Fresno, 22 games in Fresno, 6 RBIs, no home runs, no triples, no a double though, but performed respectfully at that rate. 12 walks, 17 strikeouts in those 96 at bats. Something's there. He's a big fella too. He has a presence about him. 6'5", 220, big third baseman, MLB pedigree, which I think should be taken into account. Like, there is something about having that just growing up. Like, you see it with Jackson Holiday, like nothing scares that man. Like, he's already humbled. Nothing's gonna freak him out because he's grew up in the clubhouse. He kind of knows what it's all about. So I think Karros brings that a little bit. I'm excited. He will start in Spokane. I imagine he will start in Spokane. Excited to see where he comes with as like one of our 3 bats that we drafted last year, and just seeing what can become of that.
Yeah, he was my top honorable mention, and I guess I'll just kind of give a round of applause to the other three that I had. Ben McCabe, he was a day 2 pick for the Rockies at the catcher, first base, kind of hybrid guy. There's big power there. Kind of reminds me of Hunter Goodman a little bit. So if he plays a lot of first base, I think there's a chance he could have a similar trajectory as Goodman. I don't think it's hard to do what Hunter Goodman has done, but right. I think that the archetypes there, potential is there. So we'll see what happens with him. Got to give love to our guy, Zach Koska. He found a home at first base. His bat just really played well last season. And then the guy I want to give a good amount of love to is Aiden Longwell. I think the Rockies drafted in the 17th round, if I'm not mistaken. And this is me getting all geeky and stuff. But he was one of the best hitters in college baseball last season from those pure numbers, the pure number perspective, a 491 on base percentage, 679 slug, 1,170 OPS. Like, he was doing work at Kent State. Not a guy I expect to hit for a lot of power, but that bat could play, just getting on base a lot of contact. So he's one of the guys I'm most excited to watch from last year's draft class. Has a chance to be like a really, really good value for that late day 3 pick. So Aiden Longwell definitely deserves some love in this corner infield discussion.
Yeah, love that. Dark horses are jam. Like Coco was doing his thing before he got injured, and he was right there. Beck, Yankiel, and Coco were home run derbying every game. I'm adding Skyler Messenger to that list and AJ Lewis. Skyler Messenger did his thing. Very professional. Young man, just did his thing in California League. We'll see what happens as it gets a little bit harder up in high A Spokane, but undrafted 22nd round. I think I would know that by now, but very late pick, doing his thing and actually doing great with it. And then AJ Lewis just needs a shout out. He's not going to blow any doors down, but he is part of the head of the MILB union team. Like, he's part of the one of 3 guys making decisions, and that's just awesome that he's part of our organization making decisions that help the betterment of his colleagues, so to speak. So just wanted to throw his name out there too. I think everybody loves AJ Lewis. Like, everybody seems to have good things to say about him. So that's our quarter infield preview prospects. It's kind of light.
It's a little. We need some breakouts for sure.
We need something to happen because you got Hunter and Tolia up above, and Montero. Those have been the 3 big dogs for a while. So where are we filling that in? And that's the fun about this prospect thing. Like, there are ebbs and flows of every position as we go forward. So that'll be fun. Do you think any of these 4? So Lewis, our producer, Mike. Do you think any of these 4 actually make their debut this year? He wrote an article. Go check it out. BlakeStreetBanter.com. Nick Bush, Hunter Stovall, Willie Mack, or Ryan Ritter.
I mean, it was just a list that I did not fully expect. I think they're all, in the running. I want to hear from Nick Bush. We got to get him.
I would love to get
back on here. But of that group, you kind of have to look at Willie McIver until Drew Romo's ready. Like, he is kind of that next guy up. Just seems like, all right, let's see if the young kid gets his, can pull it off at the big league level. So I think that's got to be the one. But Ryan Ritter is like the best prospect of the group, so he's gonna get his shot when he is proven to be ready.
Right.
So I'd say that's like my 1A and B. Of that.
I would go Willie Mack is like a 1A, Stovall 2, Nick Bush 3. I think just coming back from an injury, it's gonna be hard. And then 4, Ritter. Ritter's a long shot. Fantastic season, but going from
it's true. Yeah.
Starting in high A, he'll probably be starting in high A, going all the way up. But it's gonna be a grind, especially for his position player with Ezekiel Tovar and a few other dogs in front of him. It'd be sweet, like if he got the Hunter Goodman treatment, like absolutely. So go check that out, BlakeStreetBanner.com. We're trying to ramp up the writing. I'm working on something. I know Tyler's got something in the work, draft coverage. There's things that are happening behind the scenes that are going. I have some ideas. I got to run by him, Tyler, before I start shouting them out. We're doing some things. So keep checking on Blake Street Banner. Follow us on socials. Our Twitter is our bread and butter, BlakeStreetBanter.com. I think it's ST, I believe. Yep. Don't even know my own thing. Instagram, Blake Street Banter. We're on the YouTube. We're on Facebook, but don't go there. And just follow us on your favorite streaming platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything that you listen to your podcast on. That's where we do have the opportunity to make some cash that can be plugged back into this, where I can actually start paying some guys like Tyler and Lewis and Noah and Nick and Isaac, the whole squad. They deserve all the work they do. They deserve some extra bonus there. So follow us, share the love. Please, right now, go ahead and text it to your mother, text it to your mom. We are your mom's favorite podcast. She just doesn't know it yet. I know I'm my mom's favorite podcast. And if you leave us a review, it's fun. Leave us a review, write something on the Apple Podcast. We'll read it on air. The two that are on there are pretty funny. So if you do go check out those reviews, just giggle and it's okay. Anything else for the good of the cause, Tyler?
Fun stuff is coming. The draft stuff. Won't say anything out of the norm from what we usually do, but if you're familiar with what we usually do for the draft stuff, we have cool breakdowns. It's gonna blow that out of the water.
It's a big year. This is the year for BSB, and I say that every year because every year is a fantastic time getting to hang out with you. Still haven't met you, but like I feel like we're bonded, right? Like it's so crazy.
We've been doing pods since like 2021. I'm pretty sure. So
we're basically best friends. So it's a good time. We're just here for a good time, and if you're going to bring in that negative energy, go somewhere else and just be creative with it. All right. As always, go Rocks and the minor league affiliates. Woo! Thank you for watching and listening.